Hello, dear friends. We are indeed living in a terrible, terrible time. We science fiction and fantasy writers have imagined such times on many occasions, everything from Jack London's book, The Iron Heel, to Margaret Atwood's The Handmaid's Tale, to the wonderful science fiction series by Joe Straczynski, Babylon 5, to The Lord of the Rings, both the books and the movies. I was delighted to see Rebecca Solnit write in her Substack, Meditations in an Emergency, about an aspect of this in The Lord of the Rings, and I'd like to share it with you. It gives me great hope. She writes, the poet W.H. Auden wrote in a review of the final book of J.R.R. Tolkien's Lord of the Rings trilogy, evil, that is, has every advantage but one. It is inferior in imagination. Good can imagine the possibility of becoming evil, hence the refusal of Gandalf and Aragorn to use the ring. But evil, defiantly chosen, can no longer imagine anything but itself. Sauron cannot imagine any motives except lust for domination and fear, so that when he has learned that his enemies have the ring, the thought that they might try to destroy it never enters his head, and his eye is kept toward Gondor and away from Mordor and the Mount of Doom. Close quote. You can see the attempt to consolidate power in the president, as supported by the conservative 6 on the Supreme Court and by the surrender of Congress's powers by the Republican majority, as an attempt to create a one-ring level of power in radical opposition to the checks and balances and ideals of democracy and accountability that have been central to this nation's official ideology, however imperfectly realized. This is one of our strategic advantages. They routinely fail to comprehend motives that are not selfish. So the idealism, the altruism, the commitment to ideals and principles that motivates the resistance can be seen as a cover-up for the real motives, which helps them cast progressives as criminal or delusional. Empathy is itself an act of imagination that begins with attention and care. What is it like to be this other being? What are they feeling? What do they need? It arises from and reinforces a sense of non-separation, a sense that we are all in this together, that everyone is your neighbor and no one is a stranger. There's a strong religious admonition to be this way, to see each other this way in Love Thy Neighbor from the Gospel of Mark, which has been inscribed on at least one Minneapolis sign I've seen, or Leviticus's, the stranger that dwelleth with you shall be unto you as one born unto you, and thou shalt love him as thyself. In Buddhism's compassion for all beings, in the Islamic commitment to alms for the poor. Hope, solidarity, imagination, empathy. These are our weapons, our strengths. And the orange shitgibbon and his fascist government have no clue how powerful we are. Be well.